Late Sunday night, a powerful 6-magnitude earthquake struck eastern Afghanistan, its epicenter just 17 miles from Jalalabad in Nangarhar province. The quake hit at 11:45 p.m., jolting thousands awake as buildings shook violently and panic swept through the region. Many rural homes, built from mud and stone, crumbled instantly, leaving families trapped and communities in chaos. The shallow depth of the quake amplified its destructive force, with aftershocks rippling as far as Kabul, compounding fear and hampering rescue efforts. Jalalabad, a city of 200,000, and the surrounding rural districts bore the brunt of the devastation, with fragile infrastructure collapsing under the strain. The earthquake struck hardest where people were least able to protect themselves, turning a night of rest into one of terror and loss. The memory of August 31st will haunt the region, as survivors face a landscape of ruin and heartbreak. At dawn, the true scale of the disaster emerged, at least 250 dead and over 500 injured, numbers expected to rise as rescuers reach remote areas. Kunar province suffered the most, with entire villages reduced to rubble and traditional mud homes collapsing in seconds. In Nangarhar, including Jalalabad, the death toll continues to climb as communication with isolated communities remains difficult. Survivors recount losing entire families, digging through debris with bare hands in desperate searches for loved ones. Hospitals are overwhelmed, treating patients in hallways and makeshift tents, with critical shortages of supplies and staff. The emotional trauma is immense, as families mourn their dead while facing homelessness and uncertainty. The region now faces a public health crisis on top of the physical destruction. For Kunar and Nangarhar, this is not just a natural disaster. It's a humanitarian catastrophe with lasting consequences. In the darkness, ordinary citizens became first responders, digging through rubble with bare hands, guided by cries for help. With formal rescue teams delayed by blocked roads and aftershocks, the first hours were a race against time for local communities. As dawn broke, Afghan soldiers and local authorities arrived, but the scale of destruction was overwhelming. Every collapsed home became a site of hope and heartbreak, as families waited anxiously for news. Aftershocks continued, threatening both survivors and rescuers and making every rescue attempt perilous. Amid tragedy, stories of children pulled alive from the wreckage offered rare moments of hope. Yet, these miracles were outnumbered by loss as the search for survivors became a grim lottery. The people of eastern Afghanistan remain united in their desperate search for life amid the ruins. Delivering aid and conducting rescues in eastern Afghanistan is a logistical nightmare. Mountainous terrain, blocked roads, and shattered infrastructure isolate the hardest-hit villages. Helicopters are the only way to reach some areas, but their capacity is limited and demand is overwhelming. Decades of conflict left the region's infrastructure fragile. The quake has severed communication lines and overwhelmed local hospitals. Medical staff work around the clock with dwindling supplies, treating the injured in makeshift conditions. Aid agencies race to provide food, water, and shelter, but assessing needs in cut-off villages remains a challenge. The international community is pledging support, but coordination with Afghan authorities is slow and complex. With thousands homeless and exposed to the elements, preventing disease outbreaks is now a top priority. The coming days will determine if aid can reach those most in need before a secondary crisis unfolds. This earthquake is a devastating blow to a nation already struggling with political instability and economic hardship. The destruction in Nangarhar and Kunar threatens long-term recovery as homes, farmland, and infrastructure lie in ruins. Afghanistan's resources are stretched thin. Rebuilding will require international support and sustained commitment. The world must respond, not just with the emergency aid, but with long-term investment in recovery and resilience. The Afghan people's resilience is remarkable, but they cannot face this alone. Global solidarity is a moral imperative. The cries from eastern Afghanistan must be met with swift, meaningful action. In this moment of crisis, compassion and collective action will define our shared humanity.